Okay, so for missing data or omitted measurements, when for any reason it is impossible or impractical to determine by field observations the length and bearing of every side of a closed traverse, the missing data may generally be calculated provided that more than two quantities are omitted. Missing data or omitted measurements, as said, we can use this concept provided not more than two quantities are omitted. It must be assumed that the observed values are without error, and hence all errors of measurements are thrown into the computed lengths of or bearings. Now, if we're going to calculate missing data or omitted measurements, you have to make sure na yung ating traverse ay balanced. What do I mean by balanced? Kumbaga na-adjust na siya. Diba topic tayo, chapter 5, traversing and traverse computations. We have adjusted the latitudes and departure using either compass rule or transit rule. Now, gagamitin nyo ang omitted measurements if the traverse is corrected or already balanced. Okay? So, the principle of omitted measurements is advantageous in land partitions. For example, a large tract of closed traverse is to be subdivided into several small tracts of closed traverse. The dividing line may be considered as an omitted measurement. So, there are instances kasi when we go to field survey, may mga lines na mahirap kunin yung kanyang length at saka yung kanyang bearing. So, to help us to calculate yung data ng line na yon, we can use omitted measurements. Ang isa pang application ng omitted measurements is especially if you're going to subdivide a certain lot. Kapag nag-subdivide ka, yung line na ginamit mo as a subdividing line, that is considered to be an omitted measurement. So, we can calculate the bearing and the length of that line using itong topic na to. Okay? So, there are common types of omitted measurements. I-discuss ko lang sa inyo kasi may dalawang, kumbaga, general type tayo. Yung isa, let's say, for the four sides, kunwari, lotem nikat four sides niya, duwa side, agbinatay, agabay da. Adawat, tapos ag inabay nga line nga diyay, kurang dati data. Another type mo, haan nga nag-inabay jiling niya, nagbinatog dalang. So, discuss ko kanya yung tatta, we call this the adjoining lines. When we say adjoining lines, kumbaga magkadikit sila. And so, there are common types. We have the length and bearing of one side unknown. This is under case 1. Again, case 1, length and bearing of one side unknown. Case 2, length of one side and bearing of another side unknown. Case 3, lengths of two sides unknown for which the bearings have been observed. And case 4, bearings of two sides unknown for which the lengths have been observed. So, i-discuss tayo dagiting of 4 cases one by one. The problem of determining the length and bearing of one side of a closed traverse is exactly the same as that of computing the length and bearing of the linear area of closure in any closed traverse for which field measurements are complete. Now, if we try to remember dun sa chapter 5, traversing and traverse computations, we've tackled their linear error of closure. Itong linear error of closure na to, ito yung gagamitin natin to determine the data for the omitted measurements. Okay? So, just a review, ang sabi doon sa may linear error of closure, LEC, numalagay po dyan LEC, kung nanadyan, that is the square root of the summation of latitude squared plus summation of departure squared. But this time, LEC, sukatan tayo TS, wherein that is the distance of the unknown line. Okay? And, meaning the algebraic sum of latitudes is the latitude of unknown side but with opposite sign, and the algebraic sum of departures is the departure of the unknown side but with opposite sign also. And the tangent of the bearing angle is this one. Diba itong dalawang equation na to, it looks familiar kasi ito yung na-discuss natin in chapter 5, that is the traversing and traverse computations. Ito rin yung mga equations na gagamitin natin to solve for the omitted measurements. And, di ba, EJ Traverse, EJ Traverse computations, na iba kang EJ nga, if you take the summation of all the latitudes and all the departure, dapat ang equal iso na T0. So always remember that one, lahat dapat, if I take the summation of latitude, dapat ag 0 out di. If I take the summation of the departure, ag 0 mat lang di. So to further understand these omitted measurements, let's try to solve problems. Let's start with case 1. Case 1, wherein the length and bearing of one side is unknown. Now, if we try to look at this example, a close traverse has the following data. You are required to determine the length and bearing of line DA. So as you can see there in your screen, meron tayong apat na lines. Yung isang line, walang nakuhang length at saka walang nakuhang azimuth. Now, kung babalikan natin yung measurement of angles, when we say azimuth, always ang reference natin south. Okay? Just review ulit, dito sa subject na to, sa CE 101, sa subject ko, when I say azimuth, always ang reference natin south. And so, since ito yung given sa ating problem, the very first thing I have to do is to determine the bearing. Kasi di ba yung pag-solve natin sa latitude and departure is using bearing. So, i-convert natin yung azimuth into bearing. I'll start with this one, itong line AB. So, paano ko i-convert itong azimuth into bearing? Let's say this is point A. Ang sabi dito, yung line A to B may azimuth na 230 degrees. Kung south ang basehan ko, and that is clockwise, so yung aking line AB ay somewhere here. Kasi itong angle na to, this is 230 degrees. So if I'm going to draw a line, ito si point B. Yan. So, yan yung aking line AB. Asan dyan ngayon yung kanyang bearing? Ang bearing na tinatawag natin ngayon dito ay itong kulay violet na to. So, ano yung measurement nito? Kung yung azimuth ng line AB, itong kulay blue na angle, I'll change na lang. So, let's say, ulit, andito si A, tapos ang kanyang azimuth from the south, papunta kay B ay ito. Itong angle na to. This is point B. So, yan yung ating line AB. Itong angle na to, itong kulay blue na to, this is 230 degrees. Ngayon, ang hinahanap ko ditong bearing ay ito. Diba sabi nga natin in chapter 4, pag bearing, that is an acute angle wherein ang reference natin is either the north or the south. So, ito yung ating bearing, yung kulay red. So, how do I solve that one? Kung ang azimuth ko ay 230, anyone from this class, manugarod dito bearing ni AB. Dito kulay red na dito eh. Kindly type in doon sa my comment box kung ano yung value ng ating azimuth ay bearing for line AB. Pa-type na man. Comment box. Mano ti bearing na garod ni line AB? No, dya azimuth na ka 230. 50. Okay, someone answered here, 50 degrees daw ito. Tama ba? Let's check. The bearing of AB is tama. That is 50 degrees. Now, pag sinabi kasing bearing, always indicate the direction. So, the direction here is north, 50 degrees east. Tama yung isang kaklase nyo. Okay? That is how you're going to convert azimuth into a bearing. How about line BC and line CD? Hindi natin makukuha yung bearing ni line DA kasi unknown nga siya eh. So, here, if I convert 340 degrees into a bearing, ito yung sagot ko. And for the CD, the bearing of CD is this one. Okay? Kindly double check the bearing of lines BC and CD. Tama ba? As I've said a while ago, itong oras na to, panagpapalpa, but ay mabalbalin, handa ka iturugan. Kindly get your calculator, your pen, and your notebook or paper. Double check the values I am presenting here with you. BC and CD has the bearing south 20 degrees east and south 50 degrees west respectively. Okay. So, kapag na-i-convert ko yung azimuth into bearing, kung i-sketch ko ito, ganito yung magiging itsura. So, from A to B, ganyan yung itsura niya. Then, from B to C, kasta't itsura na. C to D, ganyan. And, I'm going to join DA. So, ang unknown ko dito ay si line DA. Wala siyang length, wala rin siyang bearing. So, paano natin ito isosolve using what we have learned in chapter 5? So, given yung ating mga lengths for each lines, now, ang gagawin ko ngayon para makuha ko yung length at saka yung bearing ng DA, determine the latitudes and departures of the given sides, assuming that all measurements are correct. So, since given naman, ang given sa problem na to ay yung distance, yung azimuth, kinonvert natin siya sa bearing. So, the next thing you have to do is to determine the latitude and the departure. Diba, natapos na natin to in chapter 5. How do we solve for latitude of a line? Diba, sabi nga natin, latitude that is equal to the distance. For line AB, 248 multiplied by the cosine of your bearing, that is 50 degrees. That is equal to 159.41. Bakit positive? Kasi po yung ating bearing ay nasa north. Right? So for line BC, the latitude of BC is equal to 320 multiplied by the cosine of your bearing, that is equal to 20 degrees. So yung latitude ni BC ay negative 300.7. Bakit negative? Kasi po, yung ating line BC nasa south. Yes? Kay line BCD naman, that is equal to 180 multiplied by the cosine of 50 degrees. That is equal to 115.7. Negative ulit kasi po nasa south yung ating bearing. Now, if we take the sum of AB, BC, and CD, again, unknown CDA, so that is 159.41 minus 300.7 minus 115.7. That is equal to negative 256.99. Same with departure. Paano natin sinolve si departure? That is 248 multiplied by the sine of your bearing, 50 degrees. So the departure of line AB is equal to 189.98. Kindly double check the departure of BC and CD. Tama po ba itong mga values na to? Paki-double check man while I change my position. Nagsakit yung mata. Okay, so after na nakuha natin yung ating departure, we can now, kunin natin ulit yung sum ng ating departure. That is 189.98 plus 109.45 minus 137.89. That is equal to 161.54. Okay. So pag nakuha natin yung latitude at saka yung departure, 'di ba sabi nga natin in chapter 5, dapat yung sum ng ating latitude at ng departure magzi-zero out. So paano magzi-zero out ito? Kasi ano nga dito negative 256.99 agbalin nga zero dito eh. Iji nabasa tayo tatay to take the latitude and departure of that line, of the unknown line. You have to take the same magnitude but opposite in sign. What do we mean by that? The latitude ni DA is 257. Anong alaak di 257? In round off ko lang ngayon dito. Diba no, i-round up ko dito kat negative 257. Yan. Kinopyak lang di 257 nga binaliktad ko design. No dito ayan ti sum kat negative dito numapan ka ni DA agbalin nga positive. Apay nga kas dito inaramid ko. Tano once nga intake ko di sum ag zero out DI. Diba DI garot ti kayat tayo ag zero out di sum. Kas tamot lang ti inaramid ko dito ayan ni departure. If we take the sum of these three, the answer na ka 161.54. Now you have to take the opposite of this that is equal to negative 161.54. Data tagbalin nga departure ni DA. So ano i-take mo man ang the sum na dito from AB to DA agbalin iso na nga 0. So naala ko ang latitude kan departure ni DA. Kat kasanog arot ni isolve DI distance. Now in chapter 5, the linear area of closure that is equal to S, that is equal to the square root of summation of latitude plus departure squared. So na-substitute tayo 257 squared plus negative 161.5 squared. The square root of that, data ti agbalin nga distance ni DA. So the distance ni DA that is equal to 303.53. Now, kasano DJ bearing? No, the previous slides ko na nandiyan for the tangent of bearing that is equal to departure over latitude. So 161.5 over 257, malagip yun di chapter 5, di ba tingkasta tayo, tikat inala tayo di absolute values. So 161.5 divided by 257, if we take the arc tangent of that is equal to 32 degrees, 8 minutes, 43.61 seconds. So nya tingkasta kijay. Tagijay marigatan di calculator na. Tingkasta kijay apo 161.5 divide it by 257. Then you have to take the arc tangent that is equal to 32 degrees, 8 minutes, 43.61 seconds. Now, no kunan tayo nga bearing, dapat adati direction na dito eh. The answer ko dito eh, final answer ko for the bearing of DA is equal to north, 32 degrees, 8 minutes, 43.61 seconds west. Nangalaak di north. Diba gamin da jay latitude ni DA positive. Kat ko na tayo, no positive ti latitude, ada iso na jay north. Negative di departure ni DA. No negative di departure kahit nakasauan ada iso na jay west. Okay? So this is the final answer for case 1. Sabi sa case 2, the length of one side and bearing of another side is unknown. So for this example, as you can see, walang bearing si CD, walang distance si DE. So to better understand this traverse, I'm going to sketch it. So no sketch ko iso na. That is point A. From point A to point B, due north. And B to C, that is the bearing with a length of 550. And from C to D, since wala siyang bearing, I'm going to assume. Then from D to E, given yung bearing, pero wala siyang distance. Then from E to A, may distance siya at saka may bearing. Again, ulitin ko, if we're going to sketch, kung mag-a-assume kayo ng direction ng line, make sure nga close lata DJ traverse giant sketch you. Tapnohan kayo nga mag-problema no, ag-compute kayo. So, EA, AB, and BC has complete data. So, i-close ko ngayon si EA, EABC. Iko-close ko siya. How will I close this one? I'm just going to add a closing line, CE. So, i-close ko iso na. Now, if you try to isolate E, A, B, and C, tsaka yung closing line, ganito yung magiging itsura. As you can see there in your screen, ang tinag iso na case 1. Now, ano yung ginawa natin doon sa may case 1? To solve for the latitude and departure of CE, kunin nyo lang yung value nung sum and then take the opposite sign. Ganon din kay departure. Paano ko nakuha itong 2071.75? Take the latitude of AB, BC, and EA kasi yun yung may kompletong data. Now, kapag nakuha nyo yung latitude ni AB, BC, and EA, take the sum, 1,000 plus 509.05 plus 562.7, iso dito yung 2071.75. Tatta, no alaom di latitude ni CE, kopyaom lang ni 2071.75, but opposite in sign. Kastamot lang kan ni departure. Just copy, then take the opposite sign. Tapno once nga inalam di sum, na daytoy 1,000 plus 509.05 minus 2,071 plus 562.7 agbalin nga 0 daytoy. Kastama lang ka ni departure. No alaom di sum 0 minus 208.26 minus 208.12 minus 416.38 ag 0 out di. Yan. So, no naalam mo di latitude kan departure ni CE, you can now solve for the length. Again, for the length of CE, that is equal to 2071.75 squared plus 208.12 squared. Take the square root of it. The distance or the length of line CE is equal to 2082.18 meters. The J-mot bearing na, that is simply equal to 208.12, divide it by the latitude, 2071.75. Yan yung kanyang bearing. Now again, pag sinabi nating bearing, kailangan natin yung direction. So, paano ko nakuha yung southwest? Now, you have to take note, the latitude of CE is negative, therefore, yung ating line ay nasa south. Yung departure naman ni CE ay negative, kaya yung ating bearing ay nasa west. Okay? So, pag naskuha na natin yung value nung closing line, yung nasolve pa lang natin na ito, si CE, that is just the closing line for the traverse EA, AB, and BC. Hindi pa yan yung ating final answer. Now, kung titignan natin yung original na traverse, ganyan siya. So, ang kailangan natin dito, yung bearing ni CD at saka yung length ni DE. Nasolve na natin yung length ni CE, that is equal to 2082.18. Nasolve na rin natin yung kanyang bearing. So, if I'm going to isolate itong triangle na to, the length of CE is 2082.18 and the bearing is this one. If that is 5 degrees 44 minutes, I can also say that this angle here is 5 degrees 44 minutes 11.28 seconds. Given then yung bearing ni D to E, that is equal to 58 degrees 10 minutes, I can also say that this angle is equal to 58 degrees 10 minutes. Okay? After that, kailangan kong kunin yung mga values ng internal angles ko, rho, theta, at saka si beta. Na kung titingnan ninyo dito sa my sketch, masosolve ko si beta. I just have to add 58 degrees 10 minutes and 5 degrees 44 minutes. Ang lalabas dito ngayon, beta is equal to 63 degrees 54 minutes 11.28 seconds. Yan yung value ng aking beta. Kailangan ko pang kunin yung value ni theta tsaka ni rho. So how will I do that one? If I'm going to use Sine law. Again, sa sine law, CD, the opposite of CD is beta. Right? Yung namang opposite ni DE, DE. Ang opposite ni DE ay si theta. Ang opposite ni CE, CE, ay si rho. Okay? So, kailangan ko itong mga to para masolve ko yung ibang mga unknowns. Meron na akong value ni CD. May value ako na beta. Okay. May value rin ako ni CE. Pero wala akong rho. But I can use this relationship. CD over sine beta is equal to CE over sine rho. So, substitute ko lang yung mga values. If you try to input this in your calculator, ang lalabas sa calculator nyo, rho is equal to 48 degrees, 24 minutes, 50.95 seconds. That is rho. So, nasolve ko na ngayon yung value ni beta at saka yung value ni rho. Ang kailangan ko na lang ngayon ay yung value ni theta para masolve ko yung ibang mga unknowns. So, to solve for the value of theta, all I have to do is to subtract 180 degrees minus beta minus rho. My theta is equal to 67 degrees, 40 minutes, 57.77 seconds. Yan. So, nasolve ko na ngayon yung mga values ng aking internal angles. Now, ang hinahanap ko kasi dito ay yung bearing ni CD. Ang tinatawag nating bearing ni CD ay itong angle na to. Yan ang hinahanap ko. Yung bearing ni CD at saka yung length ni DE. So, how will I solve that one? I can use cosine law. Anong sabi sa cosine law? A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of A. So, ang ginawa ko dito, ang naging A ko si DE, my B is CD, and my C is CE. Now, you have to take note, kung yung side dito, dapat yung angle na i-consider mo, yung opposite niya. So, since DE, ang opposite ni DE ay si theta. Kaya, dapat si theta ang nandito. Yan. Since meron na akong value ni CD, may value na rin ako ni CE, may value na rin ako ni theta. Direct substitution tayo. If you try to input this in your calculator, ang lalabas doon, DE is equal to 2,575.28 meters. Yan yung length ni DE. Now, if I'm going to take or compute the bearing of CD, if you try to look dito sa may angle, dito sa may part ni C, ni point C, andyan yung bearing of CD. So, how will I solve for the bearing of CD? Diba, sabi natin kanina, ito yung bearing ni CD. So, how will I solve that one? That is simply equal to 67, or yung theta, i-add ko lang yung 5 degrees, 44 minutes, 11.28 seconds. So, yung bearing ngayon ni CD is equal to south of 73 degrees, 25 minutes, 9.05 seconds west. So, these are my answers for this problem. Yung length ni DE at saka yung bearing ni CD. Now, you may ask, pwede ko bang gamitin yung sine law for this problem? Pwede namang gamitin ninyo si sine law. How will you do that one? Now, di ba sa sine law kasi, CD, ang opposite angle ni CD is beta. Ang opposite angle ni DE, si theta. Ang opposite angle ni CE, si rho. So, substitute lang natin. Since ang unknown na ang hinahanap kasi natin dito ay si DE. Ang hinahanap ko dito ay si DE and ang opposite angle ni DE ay si theta. So, if you're going to substitute, CD is 2,500, beta is 63 degrees, 54 minutes. Unknown ko si DE, and theta is equal to 67 degrees 40 minutes. If you try to input that in your calculator, makikita ninyo that DE is the same as 2,575.28 meters. Now, gamitin nyo man si cosine law o si sine law, pareho pa rin yung answer na makukuha ninyo. Ang importante kasi dito, alam ninyo kung ano ang side A, side B, and side C, at alam ninyo kung ano yung mga angles opposite ng mga sides na ito. Yan. So, this is now my final answer for this problem under case 2. The bearing of CD is south 73 degrees, 25 minutes, 9.05 seconds west. And the length of DE is equal to 2,575.3 meters. That is case 2. Ulitin natin. Case 1, yung isang line, wala siyang length, wala siyang bearing. Case 2, yung isang line, walang bearing. Yung isang line, walang length. Okay, I'll go with case 3. Okay, so for case 3, tiko na J, length of two sides unknown. Ulitan tayo J case 1. Tiko na J case 1, ije may isa nga line, awan iti length, awan iti bearing. Now for case 3, yung dalawang line, wala silang distances. Now for case 3, for the length of two sides unknown. So as you can see there in this example, awan iti length ni line RS kan ni line ST. Now if I'm going to sketch this traverse, it will look like this one. Yan si point B, mapan kan ni Q, which is due north with a length of 980 meters. So yan si Q. Then from Q to R, data G bearing na with a length of 675. Then from R to S, wala siyang length, pero may given na bearing. From S to T, wala rin siyang length, pero may given na bearing. From T to P, with a distance of 700 and the bearing na 35 degrees 36 minutes. Now, parang din lang doon sa may case 2, kapag ganito na, di ba, kompleto sa data si TP, QR. Kompleto siya sa data. So, what I need to do is to close TP, QR. Gawin ko siyang close polygon. So, para ma-close ko siya, maglalagay ako ng additional line or yung tinatawag nating closing line, which is line RT. So, if I'm going to isolate this, it will look like that one. So, dito in solve kun DJ latitude kun departure ni line PQ, QR kun TP. And if you try to look at the table, ag tinag-iso na nga case 1. Anya tingkasta tayo di case 1. Di agbalin nga latitude tata ni RT is the same as 2,159.93 but opposite in sign. Same with my departure. That is equal to 120.09. Pero, agbalin nga negative DI, tapno opposite that is sign. So, if I'm going to take the sum of all the latitudes, agbalin iso na nga 0. Kastamat lang ka ni departure, agbalin mo't lang nga 0. Nakasanok tatan nga alaon ni length kan bearing. And so, no alaak G length ni RT, that is equal to 2,159.93 squared, plus 120.09 squared. If I take the square root of that, maalak na the length ni RT, the length of my RT there is equal to 2,163.27. Tatano alaak the bearing, 120.09 divided by 2,159.93. Maalak J3 degrees, 10 minutes, 55.37 seconds. Now, kung na tayo gamin nga bearing, dapat adda iti direction na. Since di latitude ni RT kat negative, kaya south. Negative yung departure, kaya west. Okay? So, data length kan bearing ni RT. Again, this is not yet the final answer kasi tibir-biro kan tayo dito ikat lines nga kulay blue tatay na napansin nyo diay. Okay. So, kailangan di nga alakan length kan bearing ni RT. tapno mausar ko di dumapay nga calculations ko. So data di original nga problem tatay. Inkabel ko lang ni RT. Since na-solve ko di length kan di bearing ni RT, kat na i-isolate ko kasi titsura na na-solve tayo nga di length ni RT kat 2163.27 kat di bearing na is 3 degrees 10 minutes 55.37 seconds. If that is 3 degrees 10 minutes, I can say that this angle is also equal to 3 degrees 10 minutes. Right? No, dito angle dito is 56 degrees 24 minutes. I can also say that this angle is equal to 56 degrees 24 minutes. So, kasadyan naramit ko tatay, alaok dagi values ti internal angles. Ni angle rho, theta, kandi beta. So, how do I solve this one? Again, I'm going to use sine law. 2163.27 over sine, the opposite angle ni 2163.27 kat ni rho. That is equal to ST. Opposite angle of ST is theta. That is equal to SR. Opposite angle of SR is beta. So I'm going to use this sine law tapno makaalaak iti values dagiti internal angles. Now if you try to observe itong side na itong angle na to, masosolve ko si beta. That is equal to 56 degrees 24 minutes plus 3 degrees 10 minutes 55.37 seconds. So maalak the value ni beta which is equal to 59 degrees 34 minutes 55.37 seconds. Yan yung angle ko doon sa may beta. Maalak mo't lang DJ theta. How will I get theta? That is equal to 75 degrees 6 minutes minus 3 degrees 10 minutes 55.37 seconds. So maalak ni theta that is equal to 71 degrees 55 minutes 4.63 seconds. Now again, using the relationship of the summation of all the internal angles for rho that is equal to 180 degrees minus ko ni beta, i-minus ko ni theta, maalak the value ni rho that is equal to 48 degrees 30 minutes. Yan. So na-solve ko dagiti values iti internal angles ko. Any question dito pa ng alak iti value iti internal angles? Na-gets tayo din kastak ijay? So, no naalak dagiti values iti internal angles, no usarak manan ni sine law. Usarak dito 2163.27 over sine rho is equal to ST over sine theta. Di ba na-solve ko di value ni rho kan ni theta? So, ma-solve ko di value ni ST. Substitute ko lang dagi di values, maalak di value ni ST that is equal to 2745.73. Nyating kastak ijay. Simply, cross multiplication lang to 163.27 multiplied by the sine of 71 degrees, 55 minutes, 4.63 seconds. Then, i-divide ko ni sine of 48 degrees, 30 minutes. I-check ko nga naala ni 2745.73 meters. So, that is the length of side ST. Nasolve ko ni ST, kailangan pa ni RS. Now, again, I'm going to use sine law. This time, usarap ni SR. Diba, kung na tayo garod, that is equal to 2163.27 over sine of rho. Amok ti value ni rho. Ahan ko nga kailangan dito kasi nasolve ko ni ST, so usarap ni SR over sine of beta. If you try to input this in your calculator, tirumwar nga ang sariyajay, SR is equal to 2490.81. SR is the same as RS. ST is the same as TS. So, dagiti yung values for this problem. Again, I just used sine law to solve for the distances of RS and ST. So, for my final answer, the length of RS is 2,490.81 and the length of ST is equal to 2,745.73. So for the case 4, bearing of two sides unknown. Ibig sabihin, walang bearing yung dalawang lines. As you can see there in the example, walang bearing si DE at saka si EA. So, as usual, I need to sketch this one. That is point A. Then, pupunta siya kay point B. Given yung distance at saka yung bearing. From B, pupunta siya kay C. Given yung distance at saka yung bearing. Then, from C, mapan-isuna ka ni D. Given din yung kanyang distance at saka bearing. Now, for DE, wala siyang bearing. So, ang ginawa ko dito, nag-assume na lang ako na ganyan si DE. Pero, given yung kanyang distance. So, kailangan ko siyang i-close. Let's say, yan si EA. Now, again, if we're going to sketch, make sure na ag-close the J-traverse. Okay? No J-sketch yung haan na ag-close J-traverse, baliwan yung ngay di assumptions yung directions. So, for this traverse, kompleto sa data si A, B, C, D. So, again, I need to close this one. Ag-add na iti line DA. Then, no pansinan nyo, in-add ko ni DA, di ba ang tinag-isuna under case 1? So, no under case 1 isuna, kailangan garon isolve di latitude. No alak di latitude ni AB, that is equal to 36.12. Kasanok ulit nga naala di latitude, that is simply equal to 44.37 multiplied by the cosine 35 degrees 30 minutes, which is equal to 36.12. Apay nga negative, kasi po yung ating bearing ay nasa south. Okay? Then, the latitude of BC, ito yung lumabas sa aking calculation. Latitude of CD, ito naman siya. Now, if we take the summation of this, that is equal to 51.27. Negative 36.12 plus 74.57 plus 12.82, that is equal to 51.27. Then, allow of the departure. Kasano ulit the departure tayo? Distance multiplied by the sine of your bearing. So, the departure ni AB is negative 25.77 kasi adda iso na west. BC is negative 115.93. Again, nasa west. CD is equal to 0.39. Positive kasi po nasa east. Now, if we take the sum of this departure, that is equal to negative 141.31. So, case 1, anong sabi natin kay case 1? Para makuha ko yung latitude ni DA, I'm just going to copy 51.27 but opposite in sign. Same with the departure. Kopya lang di 141.31 but opposite in sign. Tapno no alak di summation ni latitude kan ni departure ag zero out. Okay? Next, alaak the distance ni AD. My answer here is 150.32. Kas ano ka naala di 150.32? That is simply equal to 51 square root of 51.27 squared plus 141.31 squared. That is equal to 150.32. Kasano di bearing? Departure divided by latitude. So that is 141.31. Divide it by 51.27. And arc tangent, that is equal to 70 degrees, 3 minutes, 29.7 seconds. Bakit south? Kasi po yung latitude negative. East kasi yung aking departure ay positive. Okay? That is just the closing line DA. Hindi pa yan yung final answer. Take note, ang hinahanap natin dito yung bearing ng dalawang lines. Yan. So after na nakuha natin yung distance at saka yung bearing ni DA, I'm going to isolate this one. Bayan yung mga given. So, parang yung ginawa natin sa previous cases. Kunin ko yung mga internal angles. So, I need to get the values of beta, theta, and rho. So, again, I'm going to use sine law. 106.72. The opposite angle of 106.72 is rho. The opposite angle of 150.32 is theta. The opposite angle of 64.86 is beta. So, yan ang aking sine law. I need to solve for the other angles para may makakuha ako. If I'm going to use cosine law, kasi hindi ko pwedeng gamitin si sine law kaagad. Wala akong makukuha. Ano nga yung tatlong angles? Subukan natin gamitin si cosine law. Again, this is our equation for cosine law. Ginawa ko dito, ang naging A ko ay si 64.86, B ko si 106.72, C ko si 150.32, and the opposite angle of 64.86 is beta. Always, kapag ginamit ninyo ang sine law at saka cosine law, make sure na opposite angles. So, if you try to input this in your calculator, ang lalabas sa inyong calculator, may beta is equal to 21 degrees, 51 minutes, 16.72 seconds. Baka adat damag, kas ano ka naala data beta, ugusar kayo apot calculator yun. Calculator tinusar ko ito itap no maalak di beta. Okay, so naala ko ni beta. No naala ko ni beta, mabalin ko nga sublian daytoy sine law. Di ba? Alam ko na si beta. So I can use sine law. If I'm going to use sine law, maadat ma-solve ko. Pero nakikita niyo di diagram. Ayan. Nakikita niyo di diagram. Na-solve ko ni beta. And amok dito nga angle, which is 70 degrees 3 minutes. Di ba tibirbiro ko ngayon di bearing ni EA. Di ba dito bearing nga dito angle nga dito, the same as this angle? Let's say this angle is the bearing of EAE. From that diagram, maalak di bearing ni AE that is equal to 70 degrees 3 minutes 29.7 seconds minus beta. That is equal to 48 degrees 12 minutes and 12.98 seconds. That is the bearing of AE. Now, you have to take note of the direction. My direction here is from north, nga napan ijay west. Now, itibirbiro kan gamin yung problem. Kat ni bearing ni EA. So, EA tibirbiro kan tayo, which means, itong angle na to. If this angle here is 48 degrees 12 minutes, itong angle din na to, the same as 48 degrees 12 minutes. Therefore, the bearing of EA is the same as 48 degrees 12 minutes. Yun nga lang, magkaiba sila ng direction. Okay? Yung bearing ni EA that is equal to the south of 48 degrees 12 minutes, 12.98 seconds, east. Yan. So, alam na natin yung bearing ni AE. Now, gagamitin ko ulit yung cosine law para ma-solve ko yung ibang mga internal angles. Pwedeng rin gamitin ninyo sa sine law kung gusto ninyo kasi alam nyo naman na si beta. But for me, gagamitin ko si cosine law. So here, ang ginawa kong A, si 150.32. Then, ang ginawa kong B ay si 106.72. C naman ngayon, si 64.86. Now, you have to take note, yung angle na ilalagay nyo dito, dapat yung angle na opposite ni 150.32. Ang angle na opposite ni 150.32 ay si theta. Right? So, direct substitution, Ang lalabas sa calculator ko, theta is equal to 120 degrees, 22 minutes, 29.07 seconds. So, if I'm going to compute the bearing of ED, that is simply equal to theta minus, di ba, na-compute na natin itong angle na to, that is the bearing of EA, and the bearing of EA is 48 degrees, 12 minutes. So, i-minus natin from 120 degrees, 22 minutes. Ang bearing ngayon ni ED is equal to 72 degrees, 10 minutes. But take note of the direction. That is south, 72 degrees, 10 minutes, 16.09 seconds west. Now, if I'm going to take the bearing of DE, kung ang angle na to ay 72 degrees, 10 minutes, etong angle na to, the same as 72 degrees, 10 minutes. See, magkaiba lang sila ng direction. Etong from E to D, ang direction niya is from north, pumunta siya from south, pumunta siya kay west. Itong naman, from D to E, from north, pumunta siya sa east. Right? So here, my final answer, the bearings of DE and EA is written there in your screen. Yan yung mga na-solve natin na values for the bearings of DE and EA. So that is the solution for case 4. Ulitin ko, case 1, sa isang line, walang length, walang bearing. Case 2, walang bearing yung isang line, walang length yung isang line. Case 3, walang length yung dalawang line. Case 4, walang bearing yung dalawang line.